Rev up your engines!
Yes, the used car market has gone insane. It turns out now that some used vehicles cost more than their original sticker price was. It's gone insane. Now realize these are specific vehicles. For example, a 2019 Toyota Tacoma SR double cab pickup was 29 grand when it was new. And 2 years later, dealers are giving 30 grand for a used one and selling them for even more than that. They can sell them for $33,000. I mean, it's gone wacky. The thing is, this is a very short-term thing because, of course, they're not building as many, chip shortage and all that. Then they can charge more for the used ones because it's a limited market and they'll get away with whatever they can with really good vehicles. Now, you take the crappy ones, you're not going to find too many Chryslers and GMs that go for more than the list price when they're 2 years old, you know? It's a specialized thing. It isn't all of them. But just to give you an idea, this month, the average cost of a used vehicle is $26,457. It's a lot of money for a used vehicle. I don't even want to pay that for a new one, certainly not a used one. So as I've been saying, if you can hold off buying a used car, my advice is hold off. Now, if you get in a situation where you get one you can't refuse, maybe a relative dies and you can get it cheap or inherit it, or somebody's joined the army and you get a good deal on a good vehicle, there's nothing wrong with that. I've got customers bringing cars here that I'm checking out for that are still finding some good deals. Some of them even at car lots. There's always an exception to the rule, but in general, if you go today to Carvana, CarMax, used car lot, you're going to really overpay for that car. So if you can keep your old one going, hey, watch my videos. Keep them going. Don't go out and pay too much and be upside down in a car and find out that next year you lost 40-50% of what you paid for the car because you overpaid for it. Ray Martinez says, Scotty, what's your opinion on ASE certifications? Well, generally, I'm opinion they're not worth the paper they're printed on. I've met the people who run the schools. I met the people who take the tests, that make the tests and give the tests to people. They really don't mean all that much. I met guys years ago, gave the test. I said, what's passing? Guy said, 50%. That's passing? I don't know what it is now, but it was a few years ago. So that means I guess half of the cars that come in aren't fixed right? And I met people who ran schools that gave people the knowledge. And I'm like, how long is the school? Well, it's so many months. Months instead of years, right? It's a piece of paper. And of course, the thing is, it's a business thing. So these businesses want to have signs that say our mechanics are ASE certified. If that business sends somebody somewhere and they pay money and the guy doesn't get certified, they tell everybody, don't go to Charlie's certification. He doesn't certify anybody. Go to Bill's. Bill passes everyone. So it really doesn't mean all that much. Fixing is fixing. If you know how to fix, you can learn how to fix. You can learn on the internet. You can get all kinds of information these days. The actual certification doesn't really mean that much these days, really. It really doesn't. Just like a friend of mine said years ago. He said, Scotty, you know, I think that today a college degree is about equivalent to our parents' high school diploma. I'm beginning to think it's not even that far. Maybe 6th grade. Things are getting watered down with all that certification. Crazy Teapot says, Scotty, what's your favorite color? Well, black by far, which is actually absence of color. Every motorcycle I had ended up black. Some were purple, came different colors, but I always painted them black. Black jackets, black shoes, black everything. I like black. You know, the Mennonites would agree with me. If they can have cars, but they have to be black cars. Can't be flashy, right? And chrome. You got to mix the chrome and the black. Sonny Lou says, should my mom fix her Mercedes GLA 250? It costs $6 grand to repair. I wouldn't. I'm assuming it's a few years old. They're endless money pits then. And it just goes on and on and on. And you keep throwing money into the pit. And the pit is indeed endless. And she'll throw all her money in and there'll still be holes to fill. No, never get rid of the stupid thing. Freddie says, Scotty, what do you think of the Lordstown endurance truck? Well, I don't think any of it in the real world. They don't actually exist. They haven't made a single vehicle for production for people to buy. I don't listen to any of this garbage that people say, we're going to make this, we're going to do this, invest your money with us, blah, blah, blah. No. When they're actually out, I'll tell you what they're like when they're out there. When I get to test them out, fix them, drive customers' cars that buy them, right? But I can't comment on something that doesn't even exist. These people live in fantasy worlds. I don't live in a fantasy world when it comes to cars. Although my wife says I live in a fantasy world for everything else. Christopher Cartagena says, my turbo on my Chevy's starting to fail. Do I need to replace them immediately? All right, here's the thing. You lose power if the turbo is starting to fail. But the car can still run. Is it making a lot of noise? Clangety clang. If it is, you want to change it sooner than later, because if you don't, pieces will fly all over the place. You'll have a giant mess. It could suck stuff in the engine, destroy the engine. It could throw pieces in the exhaust and ruin the catalytic converter and cost you a small fortune. But if it just doesn't work, you can do whatever you want if it runs. It'll have a lot less acceleration for sure. But if it is making a lot of noise, my advice is fix it sooner than later. The most heuristic says, do bigger engines last longer in terms of mileage? Well, generally they do, because they're strained less. The less something is strained, generally, the longer it'll last. I'll give you an example. Moving to the animal kingdom. Shrews are tiny, and their hearts go grrr, and they last like a year or two and they drop dead, right? Elephants, on the other hand, are huge, and their hearts go a lot slower, and they can live to be, 80, 90, 100 years old. So, same thing with engines. If they're big and they don't have to spin as fast, they will last longer. But of course, if you're a maniac, if you have like a Challenger Hellcat, one of those big 700-something horsepower engines, and you drive like a maniac, it won't last that long. But generally, the bigger they are, they don't have to spin as fast and work as hard, so they'll last longer. B. Stanford said, Scotty, I have a 2012 Chrysler 200. What's your opinion? My opinion is that you own one of the crappiest cars ever made. They don't make them anymore. They weren't really Chryslers. Those are Fiats. Everything in them's Fiat. Engines, transmissions. They're rolling piles of junk. I don't know how the heck they even sold. Because back in the day, you could have bought a Toyota Corolla for less money than for that Chrysler 200. That will last probably 20, 30 times longer than the Chrysler will. They were going for style then, Fiat bought them. They're just rolling piles of junk. If you got one, take care of it, change the oil a lot, and pray a lot that it doesn't blow the engine or the transmission, because those are both Italian designs. James Self says, Scotty, do synthetic oil brands differ from one another? Well, of course they do, because here's the thing. The law in the United States at least says synthetic oil is merely regular oil that's been modified. They don't necessarily tell you how it's been modified. Some are modified with acids to purify them. Some are modified with steam. There's lots of ways. And of course, there's some companies that are higher quality than other companies. That's just the way that it goes. There's no actual definition of what synthetic oil is. The only true synthetic oil that's completely synthetic, crazy Pennzoil, the oil that's made from natural gas. They have factories like, I guess, Saudi Arabia or somewhere, and they take the natural gas and they turn it into oil. So that is actually total synthesis of making a gas into a liquid. It's an inefficient process. They lose 1/3 of the energy, and it's kind of stupid. I mean, there's oil. Why are you going to create oil from natural gas? But it's a waste product there. They burn it off. So then they use the waste product and make oil. So what the heck, they're putting it for something. But there's so many different types of synthetic oils out there, you never know what it's like. And none of these companies generally will even tell you how they do it anymore. Years ago they tell you, but today I try to find from these companies, they won't tell you. They say it's a trade secret. We're not going to give you our formula. Airborne Pikey says, where can I get a new wiring harness from my 1988 Supra? I just bought it. The wiring harness is all melted. I've looked for days online. I found where I can get a JDM motor with all the wiring for $3,000, but that's it. I found a company called Tweak Performance says for $1,500 I could send him mine, he would rebuild it. Well, what you want to do is go to Hemmings.com on the internet. People buy and sell everything there. There are places that actually make wiring harnesses for cars. So there's going to be somebody somewhere that will make a wiring harness for that car. In England, there's guys that make them for English cars all over the place. And they're going to be a lot less than, $1,500. Try to find one of those places that does. I'm sure somebody out there has the setup for making a wiring loom for them, and go that route. But this is one reason I warn people against buying old cars that have problems. It's an 88 Supra. I've had customers that have those old Supras. Some of them got rid of them because they couldn't get parts for them anymore. If you want something like an 88 Supra and you're going to go over it entirely and maybe put another engine, transmission, whatever, go right ahead. But if you're trying to get one and keep it stock and fix it and it has a whole bunch of problems, my advice is don't buy it in the first place unless you're willing to put a small fortune into it, because it's a really old car. And there are a lot of parts on an 88 Supra that Toyota no longer makes. They don't make the computers for them. They don't make a lot of sensors for them. That you could be really screwed trying to find ones that work that aren't a small fortune, because you're dealing with hen's teeth. There's hardly any of them left, and it gets expensive. Realize, just because it's a Toyota doesn't mean it's going to be bulletproof and it's going to be cheap to fix. When they're like that, a limited production, they're collector's items, and they've been damaged. A lot of times you're getting too far than what a normal human would want to get into when they get an older car, unless, like I say, want to do the whole thing over and money's no object. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.